China is getting serious about fighting environmental pollution. As of January 1st, the Asian superpower has introduced a new tax aimed at reducing emissions. The tax varies according to the quantity and toxicity of pollutants emitted and whether the emissions affect air or water. Businesses have to install automatic monitoring devices and share emissions data with authorities. Even before the emissions tax, our company's environmental departments have begun to monitor the density and amount of 24-hour wastewater and emissions of air pollutants. China's rapid industrialization, coal dependence and booming car industry have led to some of the worst pollution on the planet.
Hong Kong has kicked off 2018 with a big pro-democracy demonstration. Thousands marched through the city, calling for its autonomy to be protected from what they say is growing pressure from Beijing. The former British colony enjoys rights and freedoms unseen in mainland China under a one-country, two-systems deal struck 20 years ago. But the jailing of prominent activists and the removal of pro-democracy legislators from office has fueled fears of losing this special status.
In 2017 is the year for Hong Kongers to learn how to overcome their fear from President Xi. In 2018, it's time for us to recognize ourselves as an Avengers to win back the things that we eroded by Beijing.
The local government said it respected people's right to protest just days after Beijing ruled that part of a future rail station in the city would come under mainland law. Israeli lawmakers have just set a higher threshold for any vote on ceding parts of Jerusalem to Palestinians. Any proposal to hand over a part of the city to a foreign party will now require a two-thirds majority in the Knesset rather than a simple majority. The change is set to further complicate any peace accord with the Palestinians, who want East Jerusalem as the capital of a future independent state. It comes less than a month after U.S. President Donald Trump formally recognized Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, in a declaration that angered the Palestinians, Middle East leaders, and Western allies alike.
Jerusalem as the capital of Israel.
Trump's move sparked protests across the region, and the Palestinians have said Washington can no longer play the role of peace broker. Israel's ruling Likud party has since called on lawmakers to annex Israeli settlements in the West Bank, further dampening hopes of a two-state solution to the conflict.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's Likud party has unanimously called on legislators to effectively annex Israeli settlements in the occupied West Bank, land Palestinians want for a future state. The move could streamline procedures for their construction and expansion. The land is currently under a military jurisdiction. Now we will promote this right and this sovereignty. We will not do it through our power, we will do it, as you quite rightly say, through the strength of our historical right, our religious right, our moral right, our biblical right. And the time has come to manifest this right. The expansion of Jewish settlements on land seized from the Palestinians in the 1967 war is a major obstacle to peace talks, and their construction and growth until now has served to isolate Palestinian communities, making a future Palestinian state with coherent borders more difficult. The UN considers this land as occupied, but a formal annexation would see Israel claim it entirely for the first time. The Palestinians have long stated annexation of any occupied lands was a red line Israel should not cross at its peril. However, Israel's politicians appear to have lost patience and seem supported by the White House in taking a more aggressive line.
Foreign governments have been watching events in Iran with concern. Along with the deaths of several protesters, hundreds more are said to have been arrested. In Washington, a crowd of Iranian Americans echoed White House support for what it's called the bold resistance, while warning Iran that the world is watching. President Donald Trump has gone as far as calling for change in a tweet which said the great Iranian people have been repressed for many years and that they're hungry for food and for freedom. Israel's Prime Minister has also praised the protesters and criticised Europe for not supporting the Iranian people.
Brave Iranians are pouring into the streets. They seek freedom, they seek justice, they seek the basic liberties that have been denied to them for decades. Sadly, many European governments watch in silence as heroic young Iranians are beaten in the streets. That's just not right.
Moscow has warned against foreign meddling. It says it considers the mass unrest in Iran as an internal affair, stressing that external interference destabilising the situation is inadmissible. Meanwhile, the UK has called for Iran to engage in a meaningful debate about the issues raised by the protesters.
South Korea has offered high-level talks at the border village of Panmunjom, just a day after North Korea suggested that it was interested in sending a delegation to the Winter Olympics. They would be the first meetings for more than 2 years. We look forward to candidly discussing mutual interests from both sides face to face, to improve relationships along with the North's participation in the Pyeongchang Winter Olympics. But the main issue of nuclear weapons isn't something that Kim Jong-un is looking to compromise on. In the same speech seeking talks with the South, he said that the United States should be aware that his nuclear forces are a reality, not a threat, and that he has the nuclear button on his desk. Monopolizing on Donald Trump's divisive, insult-hurling style of diplomacy, analysts say the North Korean leader may be trying to drive a wedge between Seoul and its ally as a way to ease international isolation and sanctions, both of which have until now appeared to have little effect.
Thousands around Ukraine took part in an annual torch walk to mark what would have been Stepan Bandera's 109th birthday. The controversial leader of the Organization of Ukrainian Nationalists was assassinated by a Kremlin KGB agent in 1959. While some glorified him as a hero in the fight against oppression, both Moscow and Warsaw have been critical of his collaboration with the Nazi regime in the 1940s. It appeared to do him little good. Bandera was jailed by the Germans in 1941 after trying to declare an independent Ukraine.
Televidente, momento po otro espacio comercial. Ahora nuestro back nos informe ng deportivo.